Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of my stream. My name is Jason, the creator of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2, and today I will be continuing on trying to get those updates out for 1.1. There's been a lot of progress over the last couple of weeks, but it's one of those things where it takes a lot of time to refine and really tweak things to get things perfect for the launch. I do apologize for the delays. I've had a lot of craziness going on my personal side, and one of the things I want to announce with that is basically I announced kind of a snippet of this over on the Discord channel, but as of this week, starting on Sunday, I have opened a game software development company. So I have actually started a company called Doppelganger Studios here in North Carolina, and I'm actually going to try to start bringing new content and everything to the game market, along with a couple of games that I've been working on for a while. And so as that transitions, I hope to continue to release to you guys what I'm working on and kind of explain, the different games that I have planned. And from now, it'll just be me working on that, but it's going to be a lot of hard work. But I'm super excited to show you guys what I've been coming up with over the last couple of years and share that on here. But to be determined, or coming soon kind of thing. So today we're going to focus on the Dying Light side, obviously. That's why I'm here. Big shout out for Mohammed. Thank you for joining the stream. I'm going to continue on this progress here, and if you guys have any questions and everything, I'll be checking over there on the YouTube as I go. But thank you guys so much for your continued support, and I look forward to delivering you guys this 1.1 update. So I do want to try to get this update out here very soon. It's turned into a lot of features, and so one of those is the legendary skins. So I did release kind of a sneak peek for that, and the idea is that a lot of people were giving feedback that they didn't like the bald appearance. That's only because the standard appearance that they have, if you don't add the hair as a default, the skeleton boning system that they have inside the game was never designed for females. So all female characters, their hair doesn't work properly when you assign them to the females. So because of that, I've set up a system to where you can actually put different hair types on the characters once you actually have that character selected, so you can go in there and change or add different facial hairs, different hair styles, that kind of thing. So with all that in place, basically you choose your character at a base, and then you can pick whatever hair you would like them to have, or whatever facial hair, or whatever you would like them to have as far as features go. But those legendary characters are meant to represent what those characters would look like if they were more towards the volatile side. So I'll bring up some of those pictures while I'm talking about it. But basically, kind of this idea that you start out with these very basic characters, that as you continue to progress through the game, you unlock the legendary versions of these characters, which are the undead or volatile versions of the characters, which you can then add hair to. You can add whatever you like to them. But basically the idea here is that you could actually select these characters and have the cool effects on them, and then whatever armor, hair types, whatever you want on them can actually just be placed down on those characters. So that's kind of up to you, what hairstyles or what different things you want to put on these characters. But the big thing is making sure that that's available to begin with. So currently there is no support for female characters in the game. I wanted to change that, so now you do have the ability to play as a female character in the game with all of the armor sets and all, whatever you want, and then also give them whatever hair you want. So I'm going to continue some of that today and refine some of that. There's still some visual artifacts on some of the things here and there that may cause people to ask questions, but I've learned a lot in this system. So kind of a sneak peek here at the custom volatile that I've also been making. So still hoping to be able to bring him in, so we have kind of a elite volatile character that I've made. And ignore the face, that's one of the issues with the boning problems on there, and this is where I've customized him as a playable character, but he should look pretty wicked out there on the streets. So I'm super excited to get him out the door. Along with that, a lot of these zombie improvements that I've been making to the visuals have also been coming along. I'm still trying to get the custom zombies in there, so actually creating new classes. I'm blocked on a lot of that, and so a lot of that has not really been successful, but hopefully here in the future they'll make that a little bit easier. So really the main focus for the mod at this point is continuing to try to get those armors and everything set back up and get the loot system finalized, and then also bring in all of these new characters and legendary features that I've been working on. So hey, Hui, thanks for shouting out, and then also someone for. So for Hui's question, if I'm saying that right, he says, I want to increase the zombies in I Am Legion 1.0. Where can I edit it? So that is going to be found underneath the config file. So actually I have that open right here on the mod. So normally this would be inside your data3.pack. Essentially you want to get access to this file, this AIL_settings. And basically what that means you need to do is you need to use something like WinRare or WinZip to open that .pack file that you can find in the source. So we'll go ahead and do that. So I'll just go ahead and show you here. So if we go ahead and say manage, we'll go to the actual source files where all of this is added. That's at ph source. And then if we go down here to our data3, I use WinRare, so I can open this with WinRare immediately. Inside of here, you'll see this AIL_settings MTH. Basically, you can just drag that out. So for example, we can drag that out to our desktop here. Now I have that file on my desktop. You can open this with any type of notepad viewer, but I use Notepad++ for everything pretty much. Once you get in here and bring this up, I've got all of these kind of broken down by the different categories that they fall in. So there's a whole bunch of different things in here. But basically, if you type in, let's see, I have diversity stuck in my head, density. So if we type in density, and I've got it going backwards, but basically it's the spawn and density section that looks like it's at line 111. Once you're in here, you can basically change these numbers here. So on some of these, I've got it set up to where I thought I had these better commented. Again, I will make sure that these are better commented. I've still not gotten to the configuration update that I wanted to, but basically the idea here is that the lower the number here, the more there are. So these areas in here are the different difficulty settings. So for example, if you are playing on hard difficulty, it will increase the spawns. If you switch to easy, it will remove some of those spawns. So you do have the ability to shift some of that. And then if you want more zombies to appear in the game, basically you just lower this number. And the reason for that is with the math that it's doing is that basically it's saying what is the distance between the spawns. So what you're setting here is literally the distance between the spawns. Now this, I've done mine a little different from, there's another modder who has done the more zombies mode, which basically just floods the entire area with more zombies. Instead of taking that exact approach, what I did was I tried to write an algorithm that basically increased the density of the zombies that are allowed to spawn in that given area. And the reason for that is I didn't want there to be a lot of crashes. I didn't want there to be a lot of zombies in areas that there shouldn't be zombies. I wanted to work with the core system that was already in place instead of trying to fight that. So what this will do, it'll increase the density of the zombies that are allowed to spawn in that area. And so you will just get more zombies in that general area. If you do want to get more zombies like everywhere, then you can do more along the lines of what more zombies does. This is all things that you can go in there and set manually. So I have the link to the actual density file. Feel free to play with this. It's very easy to manipulate these values. Just be careful for the ones that I'm setting these values in from the actual config file. If you go in there and you like add a typo or forget certain things, you will cause the system to crash. But most of the time that will show in the logs. So, you know, you can kind of play with that. So what ranges of the numbers available? So let me switch back over the questions really quick. You think the mod will come out before the next major update? I'm trying to aim for that right now for Someone 4. I definitely want to try to get that out before the next major update so I can get your guys' feedback. And also that's a little bit of way still, so I would really like to get this out instead of it kind of sitting around for the next month. And then that, I believe that answers your question as well, Mohammed. And then for Hoy, what ranges do the numbers available? I mean, it can be from 0 to 5. Basically, I've gotten this all the way down to like 0.5. I don't think I've tried 0.1. But with a lot of these things, it comes down to like it may work well in one area, but then it'll crash the game in other areas. So what I've done is tried to do the lesser evil here. It's currently about 5 or 6 times the amount of zombies that you would have in the normal game. So it's already adding quite a bit. If you want to double down on that and continue to increase the ranges, like do so at your own risk kind of thing. But more than happy for people to be able to quickly change those settings here, so you don't have to dive deep into the files. You can just make those settings really quickly here. So let me know what works out well for you, and you know, if you have crashes, just let me know at what levels. Okay, to switch back over, so I've got kind of a rolling log full of my different findings and settings here at this point, but what I'm going to do today is, so there's going to be separate parts of the mod coming out. So for example, the character creator is going to be optional, so that's not going to be something that's required, but basically it's something that it's going to be optional, but I'm going to set certain parts of it to where it will still remain true in the main part of I Am Legion. So if anything, maybe I'll teach people how to remove it. They don't like it. I guess really what the big thing with it is that you will normally start as Aiden, so the defaults will still be there. It's just more of like, I can't see why anybody would not like it, I guess. But so there's some cosmetic packs that have to go into this. So what I'm going to be working on today is the rest of the cosmetics, and then I'm going to try to release the legendary characters and the character creation part of the mod so that people can start playing with that and give feedback for that part of it. And then I'm going to release the armor and the loot balancing after that, because it's all related, but in the sense that of how I want this whole thing to integrate with the mod and the game itself. But it's taking a lot more time to balance the loot and the armor than it is to do these custom characters. So because of that, I want you guys to be able to give feedback on the custom characters and that kind of thing. And then as the armor stuff comes out, I'll do what I can for that to release that as well. But I'd hate to release 1.1 with only that like half completed milestone. So it might come out as an optional for now so that you guys can download and give that feedback. And then once 1.1 is ready to launch with all the full balancing, I mean, essentially, I'm just concerned that if I release this big of an update too soon, people are going to get upset because things aren't balanced correctly. I'm going to get a lot of negative feedback because of that, and people are going to say I broke their games and stuff like that. So trying to avoid that. So we'll continue on with the actual mod update, and it'll release when I can get it to that point that I think it's like ready to go. So I'm going to continue with that today. Hey, the Effort Fighter, welcome to the stream. And so I'm going to continue to try to climb up the roof. Sorry, let me answer this question really quick. So Hoy asked a question on here saying, whenever you kick the zombie, I tried to climb the roof. Do zombies being pushed back a lot? Like it stays away. Yeah, so as far as like doing the Dying Light 1 versus Dying Light 2 physics, I did a major physics update way back when the game first released back in February. And since then it's kind of become depreciated. I have to basically stop everything I'm doing to go revisit the physics systems to see what they've done. They've changed a lot of stuff on the back end, so things that were true then are not true now. And so I have to go rebalance the full physics, and that's going to be like stop everything else I'm working on to specifically focus in on the physics. So that will come when it comes, but I also have to get to the configuration file update and a lot of the other things requested by the players. There's already a lot of hot fixes and things that people have already been requesting that I still need to get to. So continue to look at that, and I will try to get back to that physics update as soon as I can. So I guess my short answer there is for Hoy that I haven't looked at those systems in a minute. So if you want to look at those, you know, you're going to be kind of taking the lead on that for now, because I haven't updated on those for a while. Welcome back, Aftermins. Thanks for joining. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this pulled up and get rolling here on some updates. But basically, let me show you guys how I'm doing the custom content, so you guys are just kind of aware. A couple of my different videos have been showing this for now, but that way you guys can get an idea of how I'm doing it. If more modders want to start creating armor packs and all the other stuff similar to what I'm doing, by by all means, Godspeed. The game definitely needs better armor. I'm overhauling the whole system on my side, and it doesn't hurt that in the future people continue to create their own content to add to the pack as well. That's just more armor for everybody, so I don't think that would hurt at all. So let me show you guys kind of how I'm setting this up, and I'll just start cranking out some of these cosmetic packs. So again, for people just joining, kind of the idea is that with the new character swap system and the armor swap system, we have lots of armors. Those are getting added to the loot system, balancing the loot system. I'm continuing to focus on just the cosmetic side and the custom character because that's the easiest part of this major update that's coming, and it all ties in together, but this will be the first leg of it, essentially. So, and also it allows me to get a lot of feedback from you guys on how I'm implementing this with storylines, traders, that kind of thing. So I think this will go well. Okay, so switch over really quick. We need to go down into, first let me pull up Git and make sure everything's pushed out. A lot of different rolling things now here in the background. And while I'm working on this, I'll get your guys' feedback on this. So I've actually been working, as I mentioned earlier on, I've actually launched my own game studio, and I'm actually going to put up something in the background and just, let you guys enjoy that while it's running there in the background, and get your guys' feedback. You won't be able to see it too much, but I'll also see the testing on this to kind of see how it's going. I need to do a new build. I was working again on this last night, but it's not a very complex thing, but I'm excited for the research that I've been doing in this one type of game that we'll see how this runs while I'm working on the actual mod for here as well. It does mean that I would like to hire in the future. It is a game asset development company and a game creation company, but I need to get the company up and running to a certain point and then basically make enough income to establish enough currency for employees. So this is kind of a fun, kind of relaxing thing that I've made, but basically this is using my AI-driven systems, fully physics-driven, and only very minor animations. But this is a kind of a fun little relaxing thing that I'm making for interactive desktops. And it looked like it did this thing again, where I'm still, like I said, it's still very much in the making. But let's see here if we can get this going. And then also it looked like it was not actually sharing out. There we go. Okay. So these are my little creatures that, creatures of the night, if you will, that they're all being randomly generated, and they're kind of relaxing. If you move your mouse around, they'll come after your mouse, and if you don't move your mouse, they'll kind of just go off and do their own thing. But each one is kind of is completely randomly generated based on values I'm giving it from different models that I've made, and then the color and all that's being applied to them. But they're pretty trippy, very fun to watch, in my opinion, and I'm currently working on that for my own release. But it's definitely not zombies yet, but I have several ideas for how I'd want to do that as well. So I'm going to have them flying around in the background. I hope you guys enjoy. So let's go ahead and bring this all back up. We'll let them dance. And we can go ahead and shut down the build. Yeah, so actually, what I do currently for my company, I've worked, so previously, and I guess that's another part of it, so they're fully physics rigs. You can actually go in here and mess with them. One version of this is where you can kind of bop them around the screen if you wanted. But the idea here is that I've been working in optimizations and game optimizations for a long time for a living, and so these guys are actually pretty light on my system, but it's one of those things I'm continuing to research to figure out, how much can I get away with that people would be willing to even run this in the background, kind of thing. So definitely ongoing research, and I'll let you guys know when I know, kind of thing. But personally, I find them a lot of fun. They're fun to watch in the background. They're a little distracting, but I like them. So let's see. We have actually source. So I guess what I was trying to do here is we're going to open this. And this is kind of the point is I'm going to run in the background and see how bad they're messing with the running there. Okay. Plus I'm streaming out, so we'll see how the resources do. But so kind of the idea here is that I have my rolling list. I think what I'm going to try really quickly, I was looking at this the other day, and to help people with this idea of how do I remove content, I was thinking about trying to go in here and create the idea of my own inventory things. If I go in here and create kind of an inventory, if I do the same setup that they've got, I'm curious if I can create my own inventory scripts, because then I could create my own set of whatever I want to create, and then that way if people don't like it, they can literally just delete it, kind of thing, and it just get pulled out of the game. So I think I'm going to try that really quickly with the cosmetics, and I guess I could actually do individual ones for armor and for cosmetics, or really whatever I create here in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up, I guess, and we'll just try to see if that works. So I believe I already checked fork here, make sure everything is still good to go. Okay, everything's pushed. So what I'm going to do is for a lot of this stuff that's been coming in, we now have a very, very large outfits file here. So why don't we go in here and try to create an inventory stuff script. So if I go in here, I don't know if it's even going to do it, but we can try here. So if we go in here and say outfits, and we do something like AIL cosmetics, and then we'll go ahead and open this up. And I don't think we'll also pull up Sublime, and basically how I've been checking some of this stuff is like I'll go ahead and do a search and see if they're being accounted for somewhere in the code. So like for example, let's go in here and say inventory, lots of S's. So if we say like inventory special, and I'll let that run on all the extracted files, and then we find out if this is actually being accounted for in a script. So if it's being accounted for in a script and it's actually pre-compiled, then there's probably nothing I can do, but I'm guessing these are not pre-compiled because I have been able to add new ones. So the fact that I can add new ones leans very heavy into the fact that probably this is separate. But let's go ahead and see if we can get this going here. So starting from here, let's see. Also going to try to, the window is off screen. Which window are you referring to there? Let's see here. This is not the one. Let me go back and find the one I was just doing here. Yeah. The black ones. Oh, the Sublime. Okay. And so it looks like the search came back. So basically, it does look like they're pulling in different inventories into other inventories, but that's it. So I think there's a good potential here that I can actually create new inventory files and that work out well. So we're going to go ahead and just hope on that and see if we can get away with this. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on with this cosmetics. We're going to go up here to, and then also I guess with the heads, let me see here. Let me see if this should actually now be outdated where I was trying to do. cap, custom head. Yeah, I think those are outdated at this point, but okay, let's just keep going back up for a second. And then also, I saw somebody ask really quickly, will you add enemy weapon drops? First, I'm going to focus on the armor and the cosmetics, kind of the character wearables first. And then after that, I'm going to then look at weapons. Again, this might all slow down a good bit with my studio opening, so that I can focus my efforts there. But, you know, the hope is that as you guys continue to get feedback, you know, that this becomes kind of a fun weekend project as well. So still looking at how much time I can get away with on this. And then also, I don't see, I swear someone asked a question a second ago that I missed here. Let's see, Jason. Create models, armor models. So there it is. So I think it was Hoy. Hoy, you were asking if you can go and create custom armor models. No, not currently. You can't get in new content. What you can do is find the content that they've got in the system and make that available in different ways. So currently they have a lot of different content that's sitting unused inside the system, and by that I mean even with like what the character has accessible versus what the NPCs are wearing, kind of thing. So they're wearing a lot of stuff that is definitely not playable by the character, and so that's what essentially this major update is doing so far, is that I'm bringing that armor to the game and making that playable by the character, which, as you can see here, that's all the stuff that I'm deleting right now. I think with these customs, I'm going to have to go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure those are the ones that did not work. But we'll go up here and say, we've got jewelry, we've got hair, and that's it. It's being opened up, it's being closed, shouldn't be any syntax errors there. It's getting the inventory stuff. Oh, I see. Yes, so I've tried multiple times to create custom zombies, in the sense that create new class of zombies and spawns, and they've got all that code basically completely accessible. Maybe here in the future they'll make that to where you can add more, but all of that is very easy to find. It's all underneath the presets folder, and essentially everything in the presets folder is unchangeable. It's being baked before the game or the updates are being released, is my guess, because you can go over to the actual extracted files here at source. Like, you can go into the data 0 and delete, you can delete this folder presets completely from the game, and it will still load, it'll still play, all that stuff will still be true. So whatever it is there is not being like actually read at the start of the game. So that's where you have to go to create those new types of zombies and that kind of thing. So as it stands right now, you're pretty much limited on that. Also, I realized I did not share this out for the Discord, so if people on the Discord want to join this as well, go ahead and add that. Yeah, it kind of depends on what they decide to do here in the near future with content. The more modders get away with on their game, and the more it kind of takes away from what they were going for, the more they'll probably start to lock down that kind of stuff. So it, again, I think I was having this conversation last time I streamed out. It is what it is. But basically, I was just kind of saying, like, I don't expect the mod to work here in like a year for the actual core stuff that I've done for I Am Legion. Just because it was blocked on Dying Light 1, so it'll probably be blocked on Dying Light 2. It is what it is, I guess. And so what I'm trying to do with what I'm working on now with these overhauls is that this stuff will probably continue to work. Like, they probably won't ever make it to where I can't inject a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now. But the modification to AI, the modification to how the player responds to the world and that kind of thing, that stuff does tend to get blocked eventually. So, I mean, hopefully not, but it's one of those things that I'm just kind of like, I'm not super confident that it's going to be available here in like a year. So I'm going to just kind of continue to create this content and people hopefully can enjoy it while they can, kind of thing. But this is one of the reasons I started a game studio. So the more feedback that you guys give, I've appreciated everybody's feedback for the mod, and I have a lot of ideas and stuff that I'm trying to get into my own games, and so now I can actually go make those. So let's see. First we're going to start out, I'm going to see if this is actually being injected. So basically if we pull up here, basically what it is, I removed the cosmetics. I've added the cosmetics to this other file. And so we're going to go in here, drag all these in, and first let's just find out whether or not this works, because if this does work, then I'll be moving all of the armor updates and all that good stuff over to custom script files, so that way in the future, you know, it's inevitable somebody's going to ask, how do I remove the armors out of the update? And so this should make it very straightforward for people to do that. All right, this is that took much longer than it usually does. So I'm guessing guessing with how intensive this is, it's like it's weird though. It's like the mouse. Oh, I bet this is due to my tablet. Yeah. That's interesting. So the input systems in general have been messed with. I set back up my Wacom tablet the other day. And so because of that, I'm getting all sorts of fun things with Windows 11 with the Wacom drivers. Let's see if unplugging that gives me my cursor working properly. And for Aftermath, yeah, so I've been in the Unity system, or the Unity engine, for like, I guess it's been about 7 years now, and I really enjoy Unity. It has a lot of capabilities there. It's lacking on certain things. That's interesting. So it's like it understood that I was using a touchscreen because of the tablet. And so because of that, it's like, let's see if it just maybe changed the sensitivity. It also has like a lerp on it. That's so weird. I gotta figure out what Wacom is doing to make that happen, because obviously that ain't gonna work. Okay, so let's go in here while this is going. So this is the currently this is the kernel legendary model here. Let's go here. Oh, that's so annoying. I think I'm gonna have to uninstall my Wacom and reinstall. So if we go up here to head, please work, please work, please work. None of that is there. but potentially because now that I think about it, so inside the script, we go to inventory and then go to this outfits visualization. In the outfits visualization, this does not have, so it doesn't have any calls, but in the outfit, it's actually really interesting because in the outfits here, it's also not making a call over to that definition method, which would mean something is getting set up somewhere else, because this outfits definition is definitely being called by this file because it has these methods. So I can show you here. So like, for example, this right here, this use method is calling to the outfits visualization.def file, but it's not specifically linking it here at the top. It's linking the inventory stuff. So let's go to inventory stuff really quick. Okay, so inventory stuff is pulling in everything. And then here is where it's calling in outfits visualization def. So technically it is if it's importing here and I'm importing it here, then technically that should be pulling this in. But you can also see here at the top, and it's been saying this since Dying Light 1, I've always kind of taken it with a grain of salt, that this script is generated from the inventory.xlsm, which is not available. Let me double check that. Sure this didn't show up. Yeah, so we don't have access to this, so potentially you cannot create new inventory files without, maybe what I can do here is in outfits, which is here, I can then say import, but that will then break everybody's game unless they know to remove this. So that will not be as easy. So it kind of makes it kind of like useless to do that. If by that I mean like to tell people to go delete this file if there are links to that file in other files, because then actually I don't know if that will cause it to break or not. Let's find out. Okay, so all we can do is just find out. So let's go back. We'll drop in scripts. Hit launch again. And let me also turn off my little interactive desktop just in case that's causing any of that. I don't think it was, but and I've also unplugged the Wacom tablet, so let's see if that helps. Definitely loaded faster, so it's one hit against my little 3D application. But it's pretty much the same for, so they have the wallpaper engine that's also out, and the wallpaper engine also does a lot of that. But I see that my mouse is moving, but now I've done two things. I've turned off my own code, and then I've also unplugged my Wacoms off to figure out which is actually the culprit there. But so by doing this outfits file should be importing, which now my sensitivity is probably too high. There we go. Feels a little better. Huh. Yeah, it still didn't show up. So essentially I think that's pretty much, you can't create your own inventory files in here. And it'd be pulled in, which sucks. So basically what we'll do is, good to know, discard all of this, reload it, and we'll get back to work. But that is another fan favorite of using Git here, is that if I just discard that, it all, fixes itself and I can just get back to it, kind of thing. So the animation files, I'll go ahead and talk about that while I'm working on this. So with the animation files, a lot of people have asked about the different animation files. Um, I personally, I personally have left animation files alone in the game just because it takes a lot of work to modify the animations. You can hook up the animations, and I've mentioned that in previous videos if you guys want to review, but with the animation files, it's one of those things that like you could spend a very, very long time trying to get that system working how you would expect, and there's no guarantee that that would all pan out. And it also means that, like, for example, a lot of events are being called by animations, such as like an animation plays where you're kicking and therefore a kick event is called. So if you went in there and changed like the timing of the kick to make the kick faster, that could work, but the event may be called at the same time, even though you've changed like the time that the animation plays. So it's kind of that's a rough example, but it's just kind of this idea that like, yeah, maybe, but it's one of those things that the game studio should definitely be fixing their own animations. Also, like, I can go balance some of this stuff, but they have full animation teams. I mean, they have an entire department that's dedicated to animations, and so I'm very much of the opinion that poor modders, I mean, you can bring back animations that they've taken out, but even those are going to be a little broken in a lot of cases. That's the reason they probably pulled them out, is because they were broken. So it kind of comes down to like, sure, you can. I personally just have kind of stayed away from that one because it's a lot of I'll put it this way, I didn't go into animation in my career. I took the design route, but I've definitely stayed away from doing hardcore animation stuff just because it's not my thing. So here's a scan. Let me make sure this is no longer being called. Okay, so that got pulled out. So let me go ahead and kill that. And then basically the idea here is, and I'll show you guys kind of how easy this is. With animations, like that, so with the work that I've done, you're either mocapping people's faces or you're going in there and handwriting animations for people's faces. If you take games like Crysis 3, where they did really good mocap of people's faces, specifically different actors, they did that in some of this, I think, with what's her name, played with Will Smith. That's what I know her from for now, but what was it, in 7 Pounds or whatever? What's her name? 7 Pounds. Rosario Dawson. So this lady. So they took her and they've clearly scanned her face, and then they've probably mocapped her to get some of the things that are in the game. And if you look at games like Star Wars, Jedi, or not Jedi Order, but what is this latest one? I've got it right here. At least I thought I did. Fallen Order. When you have those kind of games, it kind of goes to the budget. So with all of those things, animation comes down to how much time you have time to clean animations. It's usually not about getting the animations in a mocap. It's usually about the time you have to clean the animations that you've gotten. And so in a lot of cases, if they don't have the budget to clean all the animations, then it kind of comes down to budget, I think, is just what I'm trying to say. So I think in that use case, they probably did the best they could with the time that they were given, and so for that, I feel for them in the sense that there's probably nothing more frustrating for a designer than trying to get all that stuff working as expected and not being allowed to continue on that. or being pulled off of it, that kind of thing. So, but I would have to, again, I'd have to know their story. I'd have to talk to them to figure out, you know, how much of that was. I promise you, it probably wasn't because people were like not doing their jobs. It's probably because they didn't get the time to do their jobs how they were hoping they could. So. Let's see. Have your weapon out and idle. You literally have both your arms out. Nothing else. Follower. Yeah. So again, it comes down to if those teams are allowed to progress on any of that. So I don't know the people, but I'm assuming that if they don't have time to improve that, usually it comes down to, like, for example, they say, okay, we got enough budget to go do, you know, specifically this, and this. If they give budget to do this, and this, and they didn't give budget to improve animations, then animations don't get improved. That's just usually how that goes. So basically what I'm crawling through here to talk a little bit about what I have up on the screen. So there's, for all things that actually have the bones and are assigned to the players, those are going to be under the skinned mesh pre. For things that are static meshes in the world that do not move, that are not going to be part of a rigged system, they would be part of the mesh pre. And so most of the time you can find all sorts of interesting things in these files where they basically have not, they didn't add these to the game. For example, whatever SH Man Obese is, which I think they actually ended up using this one for the fat zombie. But most of the time you can just search the files and find out if they actually got a chance to use it or not. I usually just search the models folder. So if we say, like, yeah, so there is an obese man in there. So they literally put an obese man in the game. I don't know if I remember seeing an obese man in the game so far, but that's how you would find out. So what I'm doing for the hair systems is we have the male hair system and then we have the female hair system. For the first couple of ones, I've been pulling these off of the different characters because they've already kind of established a look. But one approach is to basically go in here and just mix and match and try a couple of different hairs. For the first couple of ones, most of these need, like, their side hair. And so there's this idea that they all have this hair that goes on top. They gave them this very specific mesh that's on here, and then they gave them ones that are for their bangs, and then they gave them side meshes. So most of the time you have to mix all three to get a hairstyle that looks normal. So with hair it takes a little bit more time, but also some people have, like, for example, the Colonel has his own hair that is an all-in-one kind of thing, and then other ones have pieces. So for example, if we wanted to go in here and just give them, give you access to all of the facial hair, that's very easy. So for example, we'll go in here. So I've got hair, male. So let's go in here and just say, like, hair, face, male, 0, 1. Here we'll say facial, and then I probably should add base haircuts. So maybe they have, these are all like reference ones that they had, but here's like a mustache that I wonder if they use this one. You can find all sorts of ones in here that you're sitting there like, oh, did they actually ever do anything with that? So we're going to find out. So we've got this first one, we'll do this random mustache that we found. Next, and what I do is I just increment by 2, or by number, just keep, you know, tacking them on kind of thing. Let's find all the mustaches. I don't think they've actually called all of these. So is this the bandit? Oh, okay. So I'm already using the bandit. So I think I know which one that is now. No, I'm mistaken. I just accidentally searched the same thing. So let's say mustache. So there's only one mustache that they're calling mustache. Let me follow up with the questions here that are coming in on the YouTube. Speaking of boomers, the old one's better. I agree. The new ones don't look great. Yeah, I agree with you on all counts there. If I could go in there and improve those in any way, I probably would. But it's kind of down to like what you can actually get away with here. They haven't made that super easy to change because so with the update that you guys will see for the zombies in the latest version of the game, I actually did some of this where certain parts of the zombies they didn't have like the full body. So if like you're thinking about like a male character in here, you're thinking like, oh, okay, there's like a torso, like a chest, and then there's the clothing that goes on over top and that kind of thing. Not really. What it is that you have a torso, which is clothing, and then you have all these different types of arms that have to perfectly attach with the clothing. So you have this stitched idea of like a Frankenstein male kind of thing, where you don't just have the concept of like just like a male torso that doesn't exist. They do now with a couple of different ones. You can get like the bare chest, but some of them are like half the mesh is missing because they put other like vests over them and stuff like that. So it took a long time, but I managed to piece together zombies because for some reason every single zombie has a shirt except the withered ones. And I'm not talking about virals. Virals are separate from zombies in the sense that they have literally one type of torso, and then they've changed the skin slightly on each one. And so for that, it's like, trying to or piece together zombies was like a huge thing, but I did it. So I did manage to get every zombie now has the concept of like a full body. It's just the withered one. So, you guys will be the judge on whether or not you like or hate that. But basically I tried to make it to where you could easily create new types of zombies by using a base. So if each one has like a chest, then you can put different armor or different stuff on them so that you don't have missing chunks of their skin kind of thing, which took a good amount of work, but I think I've got a good baseline now if you want to go and create new types of zombies, in the sense that using the existing models, updating those model files to where they're how you want them kind of thing. Hey Ryan, thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Mutate. So let's see. So it's eyes. So they actually have a ton of different facial hair here, so I'm excited to see what each one looks like. I don't think I've actually seen all the different types of facial hair. But assuming if you want to go in here and make your Breaking Bad character with just the goatee kind of thing and bald hair, you could do that. I'm also trying to see how I've looked at trying to create that secondary slot. So the idea of making that other slot was to create a cosmetic slot just for adding facial hair. I have been unsuccessful there so far, so this will be a replacer for some of your stuff, but I'm hoping I can figure out an approach here in the future that'll make that a little bit easier. So let's see. And essentially I just need to figure out how to open an other slot so that it's using an other slot and not a head slot, because the head slot is actually where it's not working, where it's replacing, armor or whatever you have on top there. And I've tried to go in here and change some of this, and I've made some progress, but I'll get into more of that here in a second. So we say inventory outfits, and then we'll say head 10, add that, so then we say let's see. So, let's see. Hair, head, hair, face, male, 0, 1. I appreciate that, guys. I'm kind of keeping up on the conversation you're having over there. So my guess with the train one, I haven't looked into the code yet, but my guess is that was already in the system. I could be completely wrong there, and I apologize if I am to anybody that has reviewed the code. I'm not I'm not trying to make assumptions there. I'm just saying that those switches that the player was hitting on the metro station. Requires there to already be logic in the system that would allow you to go up and flip those switches. And so my guess is that it's very similar to what they tried to do with Cyberpunk, where Cyberpunk essentially had the same thing, where they were trying to create like a metro line that you could ride the metro. And so my guess is that they found that code where they turned that back off. And they essentially just went in there and turned things back on. But I haven't. Hey, Such, thank you for your feedback there. I appreciate it. So I'm guessing that's kind of the approach there, is that they were trying to bring back something that was turned off, kind of thing, but was maybe intended. Is this find results window application? Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan, if you're asking specific to what I'm working on right now, this is just Notepad++ and then Sublime. Could you explain more of your history between you and Techland? Sure. So when I was a child, I was born, and Techland was there to grab me from the womb and nurse me and bathe me in the coding language that they use, and so I've been raised as a prodigy child by Techland from very early. I escaped from their labs, and now I'm free. They don't know my location, so that's why I black out the background here, so that they don't know where I am. And they've been on the hunt for me for a long time, but I'm hoping one day that I can go on to become part of them again without having to get plugged into their servers. That's a requirement for all their people, is they get jacked in, and I'm not about that life. So, but no, in all seriousness, so back in 2015, I'm just going to talk while I work here. Back in 2015, they released Dying Light 1. I was living in Japan at the time in the Navy, and I saw the trailers for Dying Light 1, got super hyped with all my Navy buddies about like, oh, hell yeah, this looks like a really crazy intense game. We're so excited to play it. And then when the game came out, it was not quite what I was expecting. It was very dumbed down. And so I was sitting there going like, what? Like, why are these zombies like walking around like this? I thought they were supposed to be scary, that kind of thing. So in light of that, I was like, oh, okay, well, hang on, let me pull up the code. So I've been working as a modder and all sorts of things, game dev and that kind of thing, since, I mean, it's probably been like 11 years now that I've been working on this stuff. So I thought I'd pull up the code and just start reviewing kind of like what they set up and how they set it up. And the more I started looking through there, the more I realized like, oh wait, hang on. There's like all these values that had been like turned off. Like there was just like across the entire thing, there were just values that were disabled that made no sense to me. And so I started going through and going like, wait, what? I mean, I'm talking about like bullet penetration, the ability. I think my favorite one from Dying Light 1 was they wrote all this code that if you were using like a mic to talk to your buddies in the game, you were using the in-game mic system, the zombies could hear you speaking based on your pitch, and then they would come after you based on your noise levels. Love it. Super creepy. All of that was turned off, and so I was sitting there going like, why is all this turned off? So I started going through and flipping switches and turning things on and testing stuff, and I realized that there's an entire game worth of content hidden underneath the game for more extreme players like myself. So I don't usually play super intense games, but most of the time I do like games that are very challenging. And so I started flipping switches for things that made sense, like, oh yeah, I would love this in the game kind of thing. And for Dying Light 1, I kind of only made it for myself kind of thing. I was sitting there like, oh yeah, I would love this. So I started just doing that kind of stuff. And that's what eventually turned into I Am Legion 1 for Dying Light. And I was doing that for probably about 2 years. I started releasing on the Nexus, and I started supporting. They would update the game. It would break everything. I would go and fix it. And I was doing that for about 2 years. And until 2017, I think it was, they released an overhaul to their first game that most people didn't realize when they released the Pursuit. But the Pursuit updated their engine a little bit. And so what they did is they basically blocked your ability to change the behavior of the AI. And so they made it to where you can change their animations, but you can't change their knowledge, which is just like, for me, that's the one. It's not so much about like, their animations as much as it is like how they behave. And so that's what I was doing for Dying Light 1. And once they blocked that, it was like, wait, why? And so I kind of freaked out a little bit because I'm sitting there like, we had, like, at that point, it had been on PC Gamer. People were really excited about the mod. Everybody was hyping it up. It was really, I was enjoying it because people were giving feedback and, stuff like that. I had like streamers around the world that were playing co-op and dying together and just loving it. And so I really got into it for a while there. And then they blocked it. And I don't think they purposely blocked it necessarily. But I was seeing some weird things, like I was seeing like lines of like the code that I had written kind of thing being commented into the update. Hang on one second. So it's like the update would contain like commented code that literally had the values that I was setting in the mod kind of thing, and it's like, wait a second, why are these starting to show up? And so it got kind of weird where, it felt more like as I would release a new thing, that all of a sudden that category of modification would just get completely shut down. And it kind of kept happening to where more and more and more of the overhaul just kind of kept going away. And I was having to like commit a lot of time to finding alternatives. And eventually in the end, around the time that the Pursuit came out, right after that, when so much of it started getting blocked, I did essentially what the developer of the dev mod or dev console did, where it's just like, this ain't worth it. Like, why am I killing myself to like keep up with their updates? Because essentially every update comes out and it breaks, and it's like, I gotta start over. So that's really how Dying Light 1 went. I've continued to try to support it over the years, but you just can't really do much with it at this point. I am in the process of making an update for it. That I think I've found some new stuff based on my work on this one. But based on the last time I was trying to mess with it, it's just such trial and error because the system crashes. So it's like literally like an uphill battle the entire time. So it's not really a fun weekend project anymore. So, que sera, sera. Anyway, I digress. Basically, that was Dying Light 1, and now we're on Dying Light 2. And these things haven't been blocked out yet. So, yeah. Aftermans just said, oh, you lived in Japan. Speak Japanese then. Arigatou gozaimasu. Which is very simple, but yeah, so I lived there for 2 years, back in 2010 to 2012. And it's either use it or lose it with Japanese. So let's see, probably the same people who complain about Dark Souls being too difficult. They disabled a second. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so certain games have like an annoying balance of like highly difficult, where it's to the point where it's down to your personality type. I think these sandbox games that allow you to kind of free roam the world and try different things, and do all sorts of different cool, ooh, that's a fun glitch. Or that's a fun thing that I did. Anyway, sorry. I think, having a game where you can pretty much roam around and do all sorts of interesting things inside of a sandbox with zombies is awesome. And I really wanted to see that to the point where if I played co-op with my friends that we were actually like, felt challenged and that kind of thing. And I actually, so I originally got, I originally got started by modding Dead Island way back. And Dead Island had something similar in the sense that, like, because you couldn't just climb buildings, Dead Island was actually pretty difficult. It was a pretty difficult game, and the more people you added to it, it got more challenging. And I remember many years of playing those games and their expansions that they weren't perfect by any means, but they definitely were a fun co-op game with your buds. And so with Dying Light, I was always hoping that it would be kind of similar, except Dying Light 2 or Dying Light 1 had so much potential to be creepy. The game itself was just made to be creepy. I don't really think I agree with this second one. I don't think that's the focus of the game. It's more light and breezy. It's got elements in it that are creepy, but I don't think it's really driven by a dark tone, to be honest. I felt like the first game was definitely driven by a darker tone for sure. Just ask whoever decided on putting children as the screamers or whatever. I'm sure someone along the lines was thinking in a more dark tone for that. So let me go ahead and clean up some of this. When I'm in literally better gear, that's the point where I can see it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a couple of different balancing things that I want to play with the RPG elements in the game. I think that there are several different opportunities for doing things a little bit more playful with the loot systems and everything, especially the loot systems. The loot systems were they're literally just generic item placers based on probability, and most of the time not very meaningfully designed. And so I've been working on that one as well, as you guys are aware. And so hopefully the updates to that will also lend to some of the things we've been talking about on here. Yeah, so I apologize I can't say your name there. I apologize I don't speak Western European, so I can't read your name. I apologize. But for the weapon crafting and weapon drops, yeah, from enemies, that's already kind of done. Basically, they're not really set up to where it's dropping the exact weapon, but it was actually funny. I fixed it the other day to where they were. I think the problem with that is that you end up with way too many weapons very quickly, but it's all there. Everything in the code is set up to where you could pick up their actual weapon, because I've done it. I know specifically I tried not to focus that for the mod, just because I didn't want to overbalance the loot systems. And yeah, I was pretty sure it was Russian as well, but I didn't want to be too ignorant on stream here and say that it was one or the other, because I don't know. So Western European seems better, the better route there. But I apologize if that wasn't the correct way to say it. Yeah, if you read the book of I Am Legion, or sorry, I Am Legend, they actually are closer to vampires than they are the movies. The movies made them more creepy, infected, but yeah, for sure they are definitely more in line with vampires than they are. Okay, here's all of our whiskey bottles. So I'm still using the stash system to spawn them in early to test things out, and then adding them to the loot values as they check out, kind of thing. I haven't started removing the ones that I've added from this list yet, which will help indicate how far I've made it. But as you guys can see here, we're up to 200 and some items now, so it's getting definitely getting pretty ridiculous. But let's grab this. The one line of code that I can't seem to find that I wish for the custom characters is that I could turn off the switch where it's switching over to the default Aiden look on the sorry, it's switching to the default Aiden character when zooming in, and so I am still trying to figure out how to change that to where it's you can continue to see your character instead of the Aiden default. But so far it's not been easy to see. But basically, so if we click here, like I said, it removes your legendary skin for now. So we go in here and say, like, so there's our mustache. So we got a fun little mustache there. You can see it transfers over to our little legendary here. So now he's got a mustache. There's a little goatee. There's a beard. Better beard. That's a, I don't know. Soul patch maybe? No? Not sure what this one does. Oh, it's just hair on top. Oh, no, it's not. It's turning that off. So, not sure what that one is. Maybe the mesh isn't set up right. So I need to go through, and right now I just got them all generic to the one icon, but yeah, so, oh, there's a soul patch. So yeah, so the idea here is that if you wanted to go in and add visual customization, if you want to play with a character with a beard, that you can very easily go, select your legendary. So if we go over to our extras, and you can see now we have quite a few different characters to pick from here. But if we want to go pick one of the different ones, so I believe this is with camouflage. So these are little camouflage characters that I haven't released, photos of those yet, but essentially, if you want to play a commando version of the characters, you can. So yeah, then you have a little facial hair on them as well. So the next part of this obviously will be going and setting up additional hair as well, but kind of the fun thing here is that now you can go in and set whatever different armors you want and that kind of thing, and then that way you damage at night. So I gotta strip off the attributes from those, but yeah, good catch. But yeah, so kind of the idea here is that you can go and create your little character and add cosmetics to them. But this slot here is what I'm currently working on as well, to where if you open this slot, originally this slot was designed to try to have a cosmetic, and then now I want to try to make this the actual skin that you select for the legendary or skin in general. So whether you play male, female, or whatever, if you click this, then you can set your skin kind of thing based on ones you've unlocked. And then potentially, if I can figure out how to do it, the problem is on the back end, I have to open up a slot, which is why on the Discord I was kind of asking a call to action to see if anybody knew or would like to help on trying to figure out the back end to open this slot up. I've already tried a couple of different things on my side and I can't get it yet, but essentially the idea here would be that a cosmetic slot be added right here, kind of thing, to where you would add things like facial hair and that kind of thing without it changing your helmet. So that way you could change your actual look and it would stick, and you would never have to worry about changing that without losing an armor slot. So But yeah. So let's go ahead and add females as well really quick. Well, some people, for the RPG side, I think I can make this a little bit better. So there's just so many different things I want to do here. We're trying to make this kind of a fun thing for playing co-op. So really this is more for people that, that's for co-op, so that way you can kind of have your own, look. Side detail there for sure, but you know, I was hoping that this would help players that were not white males that wanted to actually have some representation in the game. I won't say who that is, but you know, if you could think of anybody else that would want representation, that one. Let's see. So there's not going to be facial hair, so hair, female. So let's see. And also, that was the thing I was thinking about the other day. I had a thought. So the additional, as you guys have noticed, and as I mentioned before, is that they do not have the ability for me to set names. But I thought about it the other day. So let me check this while I'm thinking about it. Under inventory stuff, they are bringing in the definition of name. At least I think they are. They're not. So whatever they're doing to define this name is being brought in somewhere else. Go in here while I'm on this thought. Here's a search. Guess probably need to go in here and say when, actually. On here and search, maybe. So it's literally a method call that they're calling this asterisk, or ampersand, rather. That literally, it's like a lookup function where they're calling on this entire game right there. Resource pack. material name plus name. Things just get more complicated when you have this concept of predefined logic or items or names or whatever. So your opportunities as a modder to like improve or expand is drastically limited if you can't just add names to things. I mean, you wouldn't think that would be anything too drastic, but it's only drastic when you can't do something that you realize like how essential it is that you be able to do a very simple thing like add a name to something. But yeah. Okay, so here we need to go back to out visualizations. No, but this kind of game, the Coke can silencer would probably, be pretty fun if they added that ability to have just, you make your own silencers and stuff. It's definitely in the survival game tropes or whatever. Technically, a pillow is a silencer if used correctly. Let's see here. Facial hair. Yeah, I mean it kind of comes down to like what your aim is literally there. If the game is going to be made better by your silencers, then maybe, but in a lot of use cases, sometimes it drastically messes up the balance in the game. I feel like bows and arrows are now the like go-to on most of that stuff, which they can be super fun in certain games. Let's see. Oh, because it's the bare bones. Got it. Yeah, to your point there that like the silencers are only supposed to last one shot. I mean, but can you imagine a game where you have kind of a fun looting system to where if you need to make that one critical shot, you can, versus if you don't have any potential to make those at all, then, you know, that's not even an option. But in this case, you could actually, you know, go and make a single silencer for a mission that you would want to have the ability to do that kind of thing. So it kind of comes down to like how you set up your game to where you could benefit from that or you couldn't. It's like a kind of like a Hitman mechanic to where, like, in Hitman, you know, you have the silent pistols or you have all the other things at your disposal, and it's kind of up to you to decide when you use them or why you use them, kind of thing. But if you don't have the ability to use them at all, then, you know, one less thing. Let's see. Anderson. To follow up on something, their effort, are you referring to, you said Dying Light, are you referring to the second one? I'm assuming you're talking about the second one. Yeah, so basically the problem is, and I could pull the code open to show you exactly where the problem is, but they have these generic audio detection files that I was playing around with a long time trying to balance out sound detection, and some of them are so generic that so many different zombies use them in all different use cases. The ones that are for waking them up, I've tried to balance that a little bit more to make that a little bit better. But I agree with you. I mean, I think that there's several things there with trying to balance that out. I think the problem is that, like, you go in one area and you're like, oh, okay, this works really well here. And then, you know, for example, with the Awakening one, I know that I've had several people come up and mention, like, hey, interiors are way too intense. I can't get through an interior because everything's waking up on me, kind of thing. Well, those two systems, or it's only one system that's defining that. So if it's detecting, you know, noise, then, and you go and you snap a neck or whatever, then it will probably wake up everything inside that area. So it's all about, like, balancing that out to where it's the perfect amount, and then across every single, like, for example, if there's a quest somewhere that says go and do this, and they can no longer play that quest because of that one specific line that is now breaking the quest. It's just kind of like, I will tell you, it's always fascinating what you think is like, oh yeah, this is safe, like this isn't going to break anything, and you do it, and then people are like, whoa, I can no longer do this, and it's like, damn. So, kind of a side note there. And I'm almost to the point where I'm going to start talking a little bit more about what I'm doing here and like how to continue on with this. First is getting a couple of these things to go test, and then down to refining them. As you can see, we're getting quite a few different cosmetics in here. Fringe, so I'm guessing with these they all need, because it's hair base, A, and beanie woman hair base A. So oh, I see. Okay, I think I know what they did here. So we need to go in here and say base A, so then beanie base A then also has beanie fringe, and then same with B, and then basically we'll make another one. It says ponytail, take this one and say 13, and this one will have fringe C. Okay. Okay, so then I'm going to switch over really quick to testing these, because I could probably, make hundreds of these and never actually, and half of them not work, so I want to make sure this is all working correctly. Basically for the male ones here, we need to be able to determine which ones are which, so to help with that, to kind of, for you guys that want to try to do this stuff, basically the first one, so we'll go in here and say like white, green, blue, and so far this is probably the best way I've found to do it, is that you just basically go in here and change the color for each one of these. Orange, platinum, and then on the next ones you go back to white, but then you just basically change the role. So it's like you could do like healer. So for the next ones I'm going to do healer on here, so that way basically the idea here is that we can then, that was already green, I should have just done the, basically we can just change this to healer, and this will be blue, and then this will be healer, because I need to use this to identify which one is not actually working. So, and sadly this only works up to a certain number. Technically you can get away with this, I think, up to like 28 times. So if you're making one, you can at least get 28 of these by changing between the 4 co-op roles and also the 6 different colors. Violet, orange. So then that way it'll help me understand which ones are which. And then for the hair female, basically I need to go in here and give it a better icon here. So let's go back over to our, I think I closed it, it's going to be inventory, and then say aspirin, yeah. So we've got soap, toilet paper, dried fruit, cigarettes, rice, beeswax, jewelry we're already doing, presents, vodka, tools, canned food, shoes, perfume. We're going to steal the perfume icon, valuables, perfume, which I think I already did on another one, but for now, do this, valuables, perfume, set the first one to white, and then this one will be, so then say 2, 7. See, the sad thing is I'm pretty sure they have tools. They're not probably doing this by command line, or they're not doing this line by line like I am, based on all the things that I've seen where it says it's being generated by the engine. So my guess is that they could have done something like this pretty easy, instead of having to go line by line like this. 12 platinum. We need one more, which is going to be 13 white, and then I think it starts out with DP range. Yeah, range DPS. 13 range DPS. Oh no, I haven't been going through and doing these. Crap. Oh, I didn't realize that fast enough. 11, 10, 9. Okay, save. All that's saved, so let's go ahead and load it up, test it out, see what we got. Technically, what would be really fun is to find out a way to do, technically everything's there, so finding a way to modify a color so that you add the concept of like dye kits and stuff like that for armor, or, you know, whatever you would want to set up there, you could, I knew I forgot a step. You could go in there and set up the concept of like dyeing your armor and that kind of thing as well. Probably pretty easy. Might be easier to just start with the first one. Yeah. So say female. One. I think when it comes to, hey, the suck, how's it going, man? When it comes to like how I was doing some of these things with Fallout 4, I actually set up macros. One of my favorite things when I was doing project variants was I actually set up little macros to insert the information like completely automated, to where it would go and it would like select the button, copy over the simple like text that I gave it and that kind of thing, to where it was like basically was injecting the mods while getting a cup of coffee kind of thing. It would go through and set up all this stuff for me, which with ones like what I'm doing right here, technically you could set up more of a macro. I feel like I would just have to go and get like the individual numbers correct. It would be weird, but if I could set the start number and know how many to increment by, like what I'm doing right now, it would become less tedious to just run that instead of manually doing this. Okay. Hey Dwinsey, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining. So basically the idea for the loot is that it's not just about the loot, it's more about how the player is getting items throughout the game. So it's more about redoing the armor system and redoing some of the loot systems to where they're a little bit more realistic, such as if you are traveling and you're taking on things like bandits and you're able to take out the bandits, which in my mod has become more difficult, getting things like walkie-talkies and having those like actual rewards for taking on more risky actions is what I'm trying to lean into. So for the mod specific, I'm a big believer, not everybody agrees with this, but I'm a big believer in picking your battles and figuring out which ones you can actually, which ones do I have the gear to actually take out or to take on versus I'm way outmatched for this one. So with certain like MMO or PGs that can be more simple, but I'm a big believer in like just kind of knowing like if you're up against like 17 NPCs that you're just starting out and you have weak weapons that like you might want to pick your battle a little bit better there. So what I'm trying to do with the loot system is make the interiors in certain areas more rewarding in the sense that they haven't been explored because they're very difficult or dangerous kind of thing. So giving you those rare loot cases actually more available in dark zones and that kind of thing because they are actually difficult. So based on their difficulty levels, the loot you would get from those would actually be better because it's based on the idea that maybe it's military gear that, you know, nobody has had a chance to even get to yet because it's so, you know, dangerous to do so. So going into certain areas might give better payouts based on, you know, whether or not you're willing to risk it. So here's an example of one of the reasons that all the characters are bald, and I guess I put the hair back on this one character. But essentially, the skeleton systems, like I mentioned, the player is not meant for playing as a female, so all of their hair is messed up. So the idea here is that, I think I fixed it on the legendaries, but essentially females will come with no hair, but the idea is that you would add that hair back by giving them their character's hair in the at the start. So for example, they would end up with their hair so they would end up with their hair just as an inventory item, so you could decide whether or not you want to add that or not. So it kind of comes down to which armors and stuff you've got. I don't think I've seen this one in the game yet, but that is definitely interesting. So that's a pigtail in the back there. So this one will need to be paired. Yeah, so that's just a piece. Good to know. So 13. Now that is pretty upsetting. So it looks like the fringe ones, no matter what, are going to be messed up on the player. Ah, you gotta be kidding me. Well, that's super frustrating because that basically means only ones like these can actually be used on these characters. Which, you know, maybe that's fine. It's just that is so annoying that those are messed up like that. Yeah, because it has the, yeah, so that's, you know, her default here. It's because they put bones in the actual characters' meshes that are not being activated or used by the skeleton, and so they're freaking out because they don't have that information. So they're just kind of freaking all the way out. But going through and finding the ones that do work. So, for example, this is the one from the witch, which you can now play as. But yeah, there's the bun. So the bun works. Man, so it's like more than half of these don't work. So making females in the game is just not quite as easy because of that, but potentially giving them baseball hats or whatever will alleviate that. So each one will kind of have a different cap, I guess. Potentially also finding the bandana ones that work correctly, and then maybe I can swap out different things. That really sucks. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Sora. Alright, so what I do now is that basically the ones that are not working or need improvements, because I've set up the color system and their co-op role, I can then go in and just kind of basically say like white ranged. Which that one needs a hat. This one is what is it like? It's just a little bit of like hair in the back, which even if you did like a baseball cap, that wouldn't work. So you could probably put like a helmet or something with that. Maybe, but it would be inconsistent. So it's pretty much white ranged. White healer. That one I need to review to figure out. It looks like two separate hairs that have been added together, but I could be wrong. It could actually be a single hair that just is a hairstyle. So we'll say white tank. Green healer. I think out of this probably, so this one worked. Green tank. Blue healer. Blue tank. Violet tank. Violet healer. Right. Oh yeah, so the crafting and all of that with the loot update will all be getting a, say, orange. Yeah, orange. Healer. So I'm looking into creating new objects in the game as well. So just like I was making the armor, I think I might have a way of making custom crafting pieces. And so I'm going to also look at of that to see platinum tank and platinum healer. this is like all of them. It's just like all of them don't work. Okay, so I think that left me with like 2 that work there. Which, I guess at that point, probably looking at hats would save a lot of time as well. But again, with the game, they've made it kind of weird where it's like the hat systems also have like hair specific to them. So if you have certain characters that have certain hair, then it has to go with a certain hat. It's really quite a shame. So what we'll do here really quickly is we'll go in and say here female. We can essentially go in here and start pulling these out. We'll go one by one here. Say white healer. So white healer 7. Yeah, so the kind of the approach here is I would want to figure out a way to do the silent protagonist approach so that basically they don't use a voice for the conversations, but I know with some of that people might not like that because I know that some of the scenes are a bit more dramatic. So I think if anything I can probably show the developers that it was that easy to pull off in their game, and so maybe they'll support character creation in the future with the rest of their games. So it's more of a lofty hope than anything. If they're going to start adding RPG elements and it's this easy to do character creation, they should probably support that. I got you. You're just saying in general, like little sound effects that they do when fighting and that kind of thing. I gotcha. I haven't really thought that far into it as far as, supporting that. Again, it's more of like a co-op thing. So if you're playing co-op with your friends and each person wants a unique look kind of thing, each person can select what they look like to their friends, for especially now that there's the camera options. So if they want to do, I found this armor and this is what my character looks like, then they can do that. But yes, as far as like the gameplay goes and all the different effects, I guess you could remove those, but I feel like a lot of people would probably be like, add those back. So I don't know. I think I'd probably have to get feedback from everybody to know, exactly what they would want in that case. So it's going to be 7. So I think for the most part, all of the hair that is set up for the actual players or the different NPCs will not work. But what I'll do is I'll start going through here and trying to change some of them to other things and seeing if there is like a alternative look that could work so that we can still hopefully find some female hairs that people could wear. It'll just kind of come down to like, so with the Plague Witch, I don't know which one she was, but I know that 6 wasn't working. So if we go back to, let's close this one so I can see both. So 6 is this one, so 6 is good, which it was Tank Platinum. Plat. Healer. This is going to be Tank Orange. Nope. Next one is going to be Healer, Blue Tank, Violet Tank. Okay, so Tank, Blue Tank, Violet Tank. So 3 and 4. Wow. Well, there's a copy there. Surprised they didn't get mad about that. So neither of those worked. So let's go back to the skin mesh and we'll go in here and say, continue down the line with this hair thing. Hat. And the hats are weird as well, where they've got kind of the concept of like the cap, sorry, the cap and then the hat. And so I feel like sometimes I get kind of this overlap between, you know, I can't tell whether or not they're actually wanting like or which is true, is it a cap or is it a hat or what is it? So still kind of going through each one of these to kind of determine what these things are. Because again, I'm kind of crawling through ones that they could have chosen not to even update. So potentially none of these are even in the game to begin with. So blue and violet. So the next one is healer. So white healer is good. Green healer, not. Which they're going to be 8. So let's go back here to skin mesh. Keep going. So I think these are meant to go with that hat as well. So what I'll do is potentially, so we said this is for 8. So what we'll do is we'll go down here to 8 and we'll copy this in and then we'll say give them that hat and then we'll also give them this hair and let's see if those actually work. Because based on the file name, I think this will work. But I'm not sure. So that's 8. And then, so it was 8, which was green healer. Blue healer is messed up. Violet healer messed up. Okay, so all the healers. So except white apparently. So 9 through like 11 are all messed up, which actually works out perfect because I got quite a few different ones here. So let's just go in here and say, for 9, we'll do B. Wait, again, we have copies of 9. It's fun. Again, it's where I'm talking with you guys. C. And then for 11, I think just to confirm, 11 is healer orange, which is also messed up. So healer D. And then the last one is going to be 12, was also messed up. Actually, these last 2 are also messed up, so I can also go in here and do these last 2 as well. So let's get past all the facial hair here. I'm pretty sure that the hair dreadlocks is not going to work based on what I was just seeing, which is a shame. I really like the dreadlocks in here. Also think based on all of these, it's safe to assume that the rest of these are also not going to work. As far as like the base will work, but maybe what we'll do is we'll grab the, well, that being said, a lot of these were with the beanie, so let me find the beanie really quick. So if we go in here and say beanie, maybe I just need to add the beanie to these guys. Let's go in here and say SH beanie, and then that way we can do this beanie, and then for this, man, I did this several times. That's no bueno. How did I copy and paste that many times? Get that wrong. So for here, we'll go in here and say beanie, and then beanie AB. Okay. So that gives us several new looks. Let's go try this out. don't think I saved that save game, so I'm gonna have to go pull those different ones again, but let's see. I'm gonna also start wrapping up here in a little bit, go cook some lunch and stretch. Usually I've been trying to get these down to about 2.5 hours now, and then trying to take a break at 2.5. It could very easily go to 5-6 hours. So trying to make sure I'm not doing that every day. Let's see if they have. So 2 things, we'll switch the female characters, and then we'll also go ahead and get these going. Basically, I don't always save with these selected or in the inventory, just because eventually I have to like redo my save file, just because it's so filled with all these new armors and everything. And so it's going to be really interesting to see, once the loot is balanced, how players start to use their stash and start to use everything once they actually have so many items that having things like backpacks and that kind of thing would actually be needed, or just getting to the point where they're discarding more objects or trying to sell them, and that lends to the whole monetary value system, actually using the money versus the money being kind of useless. There's a lot of different things I think that could come from this, but it also comes down to how the players want to do it. So lots of feedback to get here soon. Oops. Okay. We've got our female character here. Okay. That's just a beanie. Interesting. Probably add that to the urban collection kind of thing. And what is that? It's a newspaper hat. Here's another beanie, which I have definitely seen on the zombie. Okay, we've still got that one. So I think the point of this is that it's supposed to be the beanie with hair, but I'm not seeing the hair. Is it even updating? Here. Yeah, so the hair is not really working. The beanie is definitely... So there's 2 types of beanies. So the difference between those was female beanie and male beanie, I think, because the female head versus the male head is slightly different in the game. And it's moving to its proper location, so it's interesting that they have like essentially, I guess someone had like a fatter head. If we switch back to Aiden, you can see I think the ears were clipping on one side. Yeah, so they do the fatter one. Yeah, that's annoying. So all that for a beanie. So we still have this hair that works. There's hair that I guess is supposed to work with the hat, and then the cap is no longer... There's another cap. Very homely caps. Or hats. So these are the hats. So kind of like a hobo hat. And then you have like the actual... Well, that's interesting. Those are the same. Of course, male and female. So in this case, I would just keep the male and discount the female variation because it's such a small difference. So I'm assuming this is a hat that is probably used or not used by the NPCs. So that's cute. I hate all of these though. I guess that's the thing. I don't know if you guys have any feedback on these, but I don't know if I'd want to wear any of these on my characters. Even these bandanas, I'm kind of sitting there going like, just don't look right. They literally stacked 2 hairs on top of each other with a bandana. It just doesn't quite look right. Yeah. So I think we'll have to probably go back to the baseball caps if we can find them. I mean, that's the thing is, I don't think I mean, the Newsy cap is at least better than the other ones, but we'll keep the beanies in there, but probably for like the urban hats. So I have like an urban collection kind of thing. So more than likely, I'll move these beanies over to the urban hats kind of thing. So this is going to be Orange Healer. Urban. So it's Orange Healer. I think we said that, yeah. Violet. Tank. And then I guess that was the same as, yeah, that's the wide one. And then I guess this one as well. I mean, again, it has nothing to do with hair. It's more of a hat. So orange, platinum. Platinum tank. Well, all of that, we didn't find any new hats necessary, or any new hairs for any of these people. We just found different hats, which is interesting that so many of these characters didn't actually have any type of hair anywhere from wearing these, considering they're all titled hair. So I don't know, it's looking kind of grim for the female characters. As far as, I had an original one, I had like a hat or a single hat that worked with hair, and that's pretty much the only one I could find that didn't mess up. And now I'm getting kind of concerned that for the females that might be the only option. So might have to do away with cosmetics for the female characters for now, which would be, you know, fine. Nobody's technically asked for this anyway, so maybe that'll be fine anyway. So let's go here and say female hair. We've got orange healer. So healer, orange. It's gonna be 11. We'll then take this. Yeah, see, it's actually supposed to have hair, but we'll just take the hat. And what we'll do is make a clone of this. Go down to urban. And first of all, I guess we should probably double check that this isn't being used anywhere else. Only up here. Yeah. So those are all caps. Here, say 3. 4. And that is going to be violet tank, which, if anything, I would probably do. It's probably going to need to be the platinum tank. That was the nicer looking one out of the two. Really don't like that other beanie. Go here and say platinum tank. Should be right here. Tank, platinum tank 6. That's a beret. Okay, newsy cap is a beret, y'all. Okay. And then to cap that off, need to go down here to urban. So let's see, I just added 3 and 4. It has 1 and 2. It's 5. 1 and 2. So I have 3, 4. Alright. 3. 4. And then this way I can add that to the loot system when that comes back around. Alright. And then for the female hair, I think essentially here and say hat. I swear that's what we just put in on some of these. Yeah, so, and none of those worked. So that was the hat. So the hat in that use case was literally that beanie or whatever. So I think it's actually cap. Well, here's a woman survivor hat. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go in here and see if we can do, there's a part A and part B. So what we'll do is, I think pretty much all the ones, yeah, so Lola hair worked. All the hats, Anderson hairs worked, and Astrid apparently. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go in here and start adding. So we'll do just that one. This player will get, or this person will get these as well, so that we can see the comparison of what one is versus the other. This other one has Survivor Hat D, whatever that is. And then this one actually has hair, so we can go down to this next one and say D, add hair. It's just a shame it can't get like hair, normal hair on any of these characters. Or at least it's taking this much time to make it work. It's just a shame, I guess. I think this would be pretty straightforward. Let's see, this is then going to be F. And kind of the idea here is that each one of these hats has the potential for like a decal kind of thing. So you can set these up to where first, like for this character, we'll set up the basic version, and then for these other ones we'll do the more complex ones. Like for example, we'll add the decal here, and so then with the decal, once you have these added, you should be able to go in there and change like the texture and then like what the decal actually is and that kind of thing. And so a lot of times you can get a lot of variety once you just figure out which hat has those textures available. And in some cases you can just apply textures that aren't available, so you can kind of just make it up as you go along. And so what we'll do is first we'll try to get a working one at all, and then once we figure out which ones actually work, then we can go in here and try to apply textures and that kind of thing to try to make it into something else. And that is all of those. And I forgot to hit save again. Okay. So I should update all of that. And the reason I keep saying that I didn't hit save is that basically the same thing I was mentioning earlier is that I usually don't have a save game with these things already loaded in, so when I do go and do this over and over and over again, it helps to just, if that's what I'm testing, it helps to save the game so that when I load back in it's already available to see if they've updated properly. But at the same time it then bloats your inventory with that one set, and so most of the time instead of spending the time to drop all those items, which you can, it's just easier to just kind of reset your save. What is that? Oh, that's fun. Okay. There's a fisherman outfit. So that is, I think that's platinum. Yeah, platinum tank. And so there's our hat, but that only works with our females. Yeah, truly is like a female hat. Weird. Yeah, so that would be a problem. Cross players. And then this is supposed to be loading hair in, but I'm guessing it has the same problem as the beanie. Oh wow, even that is tearing down. So even that can't be used because they added physics to it. Oh, okay. Same hat. Same hat. So there's a hat that I guess could work across both. Maybe super baggy, but works for both. Just looks kind of weird on the guys or whatever. Well, it looks kind of weird on both of them, to be honest. And then back to that hat. So literally all that, you get one hat that works. Fun. I guess it's between hat A and hat B, but it doesn't look like the hair pieces that are supposed to be loading in as well. It doesn't look like those are actually loading in for these characters. Interesting. Okay. that's going to make anybody happy in general, but we'll note it. Let's see. So blue healer, check, and then green healer. None of the hair. So this is where I would start to kind of track down. I mean, you could take, and I didn't save it again. You could start to track down. So I think green healer is going to be 8. And blue healer is going to be F. So E and F. So it's hat types E and F work. The fisherman hat is platinum tank, which is 6. So this is the female fisherman hat, or just a fisherman hat in general. Here, there's also a G and there's an H. So we would probably just want to go in here and also turn this back on and test out G and H. I think I'm going to take a break at this point and just kind of, you know, with the cosmetic stuff, I'm really hoping that I can have this first part of the mod out so that way people can get feedback. Again, that's not really the main focus of this update for 1.1. It's just kind of a nice to have tacked onto it. The main focus is the armor, but I keep getting wrapped up in these little, it always comes down to the binding on the models, and so when I'm working on the model stuff, it just takes longer with the way that it's binding to the models. And so eventually I may just need to switch back to the armor stuff only, and the loot rebalancing. And so this takes a little bit longer than I was hoping, just because so much of it just isn't working, that it takes more time. I don't think C ever showed up. I don't remember C. C must have been one of the ones that was a different width. So yeah, I think I'm going to take a break for now. Thank you guys for jumping on and giving feedback and continue to watch. I really appreciate your guys' support, and you know, again, I know that some of this stuff is just tedious, and you know, maybe not all of it applies to everybody, but hopefully you guys are enjoying the hope of new content inside the game, and it helps, you know, make the playthrough next time worthwhile. So thank you guys again for all the support, and I'll be back at it here shortly and continue to get these iterations in so that we can get this new version out. All right, thanks guys.